This is take one.
Take one. Hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey everybody, I'm Lanasia.
I am Brandon.
And you want me to talk first?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Ladies first, all the time.
Alright, so we came on today. This is our first video, our first official video. So yay.
Yay.
This is our first official video and we are going to talk about our testimony. But first, we're going to give you a little bit about ourselves before we get started. So,
ladies first again.
Okay, so let me see. What can I talk about?
Just introduce yourself.
Okay, so all right. Well, as I said, my name is Lanasia. I'm a teacher, so I work with all ages. I've been in middle school, high school.
She's a wonderful teacher too.
That's great. And yeah, that's about it. I sing.
Sing very well.
I sing and that's about it for me.
Okay. So I am Brandon. If you don't know. I am a school counselor. I love working with kids outside of my music, of course. I love music. I love music and ministry. That's really my heart. That's my interest. That's something I want to do for the rest of my life. Work with kids, be in ministry. That's my life. I love to have fun. Bowl, movies, you name it.
Bowl.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty good too.
That's fair. I actually hate bowling, but that's for another day.
That's why I can only go take my friends and keep Lanasia.
Anyways, so how do we meet? Okay, we always debate about how we met, but I think we came to a common ground.
After probably 3 or 4 years fighting and wondering, like, where did we meet?
I mean, we knew where we met, but it was just like two different stories.
We had two places. We were talking about a church and one of our close friends, their house. So that was the fight. That was the debate. And so we came to a conclusion that we met.
Lanasia was right. And we met at church. Okay, let's start from the beginning. So
no, this ain't gonna work.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, so we met. Okay, so we were introduced to one another in 2012, and we were just friends, just talking here and there. And then Brandon told me he always wanted to meet me.
Oh, dear.
So then we finally met, and then we started dating.
We started dating
in 2015.
In 2015, our senior year in college. When we was in college in the fall, and yeah.
And here we are.
And here we are,
But throughout that time, we did have some bumps in the road, and so we wanted to come on video and share that with you guys.
So we want to just kind of talk about our testimony, because again, like Lanasia said, we've experienced, just like any other relationship, we experienced some issues, but there's also a lot of good times that we had, and I always truly believe in what we always talk about is that the good outweighs the bad for us. So we of course we had some bumps in the road that really not only drew us closer to God, but also allowed us to have more love for one another. And so I believe God knew exactly what he was doing when we were in the season that we were in. And, of course, with mistakes and all, God seen it best in his will for us to be together. And so, I'm happy, she's happy, we're sad. I hope she's happy. We're both happy, and we're still working together and trying to grow so that we can be a blessing to other marriages and other couples, and just be everything that God wants us to be. It's really important. So we're going to share our testimony. I'm going to let Lanasia go first, and we're going to talk about, our perspective of what happened, during the course of our, friendship going into the relationship and us. She's engaged. Where's that ring at? Yeah, it's upside down. I mean, there you go. Yeah, so
my nails look a mess.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll edit that. But nevertheless, we just want to talk about our testimony. So without further ado, I'm gonna let LaNasia go first, and we're just gonna talk about our perspective of what happened.
Okay, so I feel like if you know us, you might know a little bit about what happened, but I will explain it from my perspective. So, this man right here, he was my first boyfriend, and I always knew that I wanted my first boyfriend to be my last boyfriend, and we had those conversations often. So, about a year into our relationship, I had expressed to him that I felt like I was in love with him. At that point, he kind of just said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And it wasn't that he was never going to get to that place. He believed that he would eventually grow into it. However, he just wasn't feeling it yet. And so it was very devastating. But, I continued to stay with him because I loved him. And, I believed that it was going to get to that point. So then I want to say it came up again, probably like some months later. We had the conversation again, and he still really wasn't at the point where he felt like he was in love with me. And so at that point I started questioning, okay, so if you're not in love with me, then maybe this is not supposed to be. Like, maybe this is not supposed to happen. It was a lot of comparison too, because I felt like, this person told this person they love them. This couple is in love. This couple is, moving forward in their relationship. And I just kind of felt like we were stagnant because he wasn't getting to a point where he was in love with me. The conversation came up a couple times. And one time when it came up, I was just like, yeah, this is not working out. So I told him we need a break. And so we ended up taking a break, and I went on a fast. And let me rewind. We took a break, and then we got back together within 5 minutes. It was not. It was a lot. I cried, and I called him back, and it was like, all right, never mind.
I felt bad too.
Yeah, it was quick. So then every time we broke up, let me just mention, it was for at least a few minutes. Honestly.
And I think there was one time it was a day.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Just one day. And then we got back. And then we got back.
That was the time. Okay, so let me get to that one. So then it happened again. We had the conversation, and again he said because of past hurt, he just wasn't in love with me yet. And so after that, that's when I broke up with him for a day. And I went on a fast, and God told me to take a break from him. And I was just like, okay, I knew, and I told him, I'm like, we need to take a break, for real. And I knew that God told me to take a break from him, but it was just, the thought of no longer being with him was so devastating that I just was like, I called him the next day, and I was like, okay, we're going to work through this. We're going to get through it, completely ignoring the fact that God told me to take a break from him. But I had to suffer those consequences later because I did not listen. And I was just in my mind, I was like, okay, Lord, I know I'm not listening, but whatever consequence I got to suffer, I'm just going, for being disobedient, I'm just going to take it. I mean, that's kind of just where I was, being honest. So then, time progressed, and it was still he still wasn't sure. He wasn't sure. There was somebody in his life that he had been close to for a long time, and it was nothing going on, but I could just kind of feel something was off about it. It wasn't anything that he did that was just oh, he messing around or he doing something, but I could just kind of, I guess, discernment, was just kind of kicking in, and I just felt very uncomfortable about the friendship. So we would have those conversations about just me feeling like something was wrong. And then of course, you know, he would always tell me it was nothing. They were just friends. It was just somebody that he grew up with. And that was just that. Like, it led to a lot of arguments, honestly. Just a lot of confusion about the dynamics of this friendship because I've never met this person. So I had no way to know but just trust his word. From that point, we broke up because it was just like, for me, it was just like I couldn't take it anymore. So I broke up with him. I was just like, you know, maybe this isn't the will of God. Sorry, I want to talk about the prophecy. Okay, so one time we were like ministering at this church, and someone prophesied to him, just basically telling him like what to look for in a wife. And you know, with me being his girlfriend at the time, like literally ministering and him also ministering, I'm thinking, you know, she's talking about me and she's describing me. And some of the things that she said were things that I felt like I was, but it was just like she was just warning him. And I was like, okay, you know, okay. And at the time, I had no idea that there was some other stuff going on with that whole situation. But then she prophesied to me and told me like I would be married before I was 26. If I wasn't, it was because of me or it was because the person was procrastinating. Okay. And at this time, I was like 23. Because it felt like a long time. I was like, dang, 26? That seemed like a minute. And I know it seemed like a very long time, but it wasn't that long. It was that long, but it wasn't that long. But okay. After we broke up, I found out. Should you tell your partner or you want me to continue? Okay, I'll continue. I'll continue. Yeah. So after we broke up, I tried to again restore like I usually did. I took like a day to really think about it. Just kind of look at things from both perspectives. And so I came back to try to work things out, and he said no. He said that he wanted to like kind of, you know, regroup because he had some doubts that he needed to deal with before we could move forward. And obviously that was very devastating because we had never broken up. In 3 years, we hadn't broken up for more than 24 hours. So to hear him actually not take me back to sound was like really tough for me to deal with. And it was very sad. Like I fell into a season of depression. Like I remember I would call him and be like, I'm about to kill myself. Like it's just too much. And it wasn't just because of him, but it was just like so many things I felt like was going wrong in my life. Like I'm losing so many things. And now I just lost my boyfriend. It was just like so overwhelming. Just the thought of I just lost everything and I just lost my best friend. Like it was terrible. So then fast forward, I found out that Brandon actually thought that the girl that he was really close to was supposed to be his wife, which is why he didn't want to move forward with me. And I'm just gonna say that was terrible. Like it was a terrible feeling. So many different things but went through my head, like why wasn't I enough? Like what does this girl have that I never gave him? You know, it was bad. It was pretty bad. And it, you know, the situation really caused me to step out of character so many times. And I think we both put ourselves in very terrible situations. There were even times where we had other love interests come in and, you know, we tried to pursue that. But in the midst of like this breakup, you know, God was really speaking to me and I was just having dreams. It was crazy the amount of dreams that I was having about the situation and how everything was just lining up. And I remember one time I was just praying and God, I was like, just praying to God, like, God, what is this it? Like, what's happening? I'm having all these dreams. I remember like certain things that you told me, what's going on. And I remember God was just telling me to be still, to be patient, that it was all gonna work out. And in my mind, it's like, okay, workout could be like me and him, we get back together at some point, or workout could be like God sends two completely different people for us to marry and love. And it was just like so difficult to wrap my mind around the fact that things were going to work out, because I didn't know how it was going to work out. And then again, like, I prayed and God revealed the same thing to me. And he told me at that moment that Brandon was the person that I was going to marry, but his hand was on it and he wanted me to be patient. And I asked God, I said, God, how will I know if this is you? Like, how do I know that this is really you? And he told me that I would confirm my word and then peace will follow. And I think the very first time God confirmed his word was when Brandon and I were at church. At the time, it was my church and Brandon was just visiting. And we had like a worship night. Mind you, I've never seen this lady before in my life, but it was like a lady walking around our church praying. It was an older lady. She walked up to me and Brandon randomly and was just like, you guys are blessed. Do you know that? Like, God loves you. And we were just sitting there like, And she was like, are you two friends? And we were like, yeah. And she was like, okay, not for long. I'm just telling you what the Lord is saying. And in that moment, that was my confirmation. But when I looked at Brandon, like when she walked away and I looked at Brandon and I was like, Brandon, did you hear that? And he was not receiving this word, period. Like, period. You didn't receive it, did you? No, he didn't. So
at the time I didn't receive it.
At the time he did not receive it. Okay, I'm about to start wrapping up. But it wasn't until my pastor had asked me about him and I told him I was about to cut him off because I was done with him treating me bad. I was done with him. Anyways, I was done with him. So I told my pastor, like, look, I'm about to cut him off. So my pastor was like, well, I want to meet with you guys first. And Brandon really wasn't for the meeting for real because he just was doing his own thing. My poor baby. He was doing his own thing. We ended up meeting and that's when he disclosed with us. He didn't talk about marriage or anything, but he just literally said, like, I hear from the Lord and the Lord is not telling me to tell you guys to cut each other off. Y'all need to work with this and let God do whatever he's gonna do, make it whatever he's gonna make it and be okay with it. Long story short. He then had like one-on-one meetings with us, and in the meeting with me, he just told me, one day you're gonna sing about the goodness, the joy, the love, the peace of God, and it's all going to start with that man right there. And that's literally all I had to hold on to. Like, we literally kind of just threw that around. Like, I'm only dealing with you because I'm trying to be obedient to the Lord and not cut you off, even though I really, really want to. And I really wanted to cut him off, like, bad. Okay. So fast forward, another love interest came around, and I, told my pastor, and my pastor said he wanted to have one last meeting with us, in which that's when he disclosed the fact that God did ordain for us to get married. He just kind of prophesied to us about our ministry, our marriage, our children, and I was in tears. Brandon, again, really wasn't receiving it. Like, you could tell. He told me after the meeting, he told me he was gonna call me back, y'all. He did not call me, like, at all. I felt so dumb. I was like, dang, this man did prophesy our whole life and he ain't even gonna call me back. I ain't even hear from him. I reached out to him like, are you okay? Like, I know we just received this huge word, and he just really wasn't for it. I was again about to cut him off, and that's when the Lord showed me another dream. And in this dream, we were in a car, and Brandon was just so intentional about me. Like, I didn't even have to say anything. I didn't even have to question, because he was so short, and I believe that was a dream from God, because right after I had that dream, like, Brandon just changed. Like, I found him just trying to hang out with me more. Like, there were times where we couldn't really hang out due to the fact that it always led to an argument. Always led to an argument, and he didn't really want to be around me because of he's not big on drama and like conflict, so he never wanted to hang out. And I just found him just being more intentional, and I think from that point forward, that's when I kind of saw and felt the shift. So that's my story.
And then that's when you seen that.
Oh boy.
When we first met, I say our friend's house. That's just my opinion. So we met at my friend's house. Well, first we did meet in 2012. We met through her friend, and I thought she was very beautiful. I thought something has stuck out with her. I just really wanted to meet her. And then because of the fact that we had mutual friends, we had a lot of mutual friends, a lot of people that knew each other because we were connected to some people in the city that knew, everybody. So I've seen videos of her like doing praise and worship, singing, and she was beautiful, and I'm just like, man, she's really pretty. And then it was in 2014 when we started getting close. Right, we started getting close in 2014 and becoming friends. I went back to college, and our conversations kind of ceased a little bit. We didn't have a lot of communication with each other. So then, around the time that I graduated, we weren't together. We got together in October. Oh, let me not forget that. Let me not forget that. We got together in October during our senior year at college. And before then, we just started getting closer, and then we got together. And so, of course, starting out, typical relationships, everything is going really good, going really smooth. However, there were some things, even at the time when we were together, starting off and before, some things that I was battling with. I did, of course, she already kind of explained, there was somebody in my life who I thought was my wife. And he told me that's close to me, always find, when you're looking for a wife, find somebody who kind of resembles your mother. And that's all I held on to, because my mother, she passed away in 2005 when I was 11 years old. And so a lot of people had encouraged me, even growing up, and then as I became older and became an adult, when you're looking for a wife, find somebody that resembles your mother. And that's really what I held on to. And so I was with Lanasia, so I definitely, because I thought she was very beautiful. We have started getting close. I wanted to, continue to see where everything went. And so things were going good. And then, like she said, that initial conversation where she asked, where she said she was in love with me. And so to me, but I don't think like this now, but back then I thought, well, that sounds really, that's too quick to say. I mean, I love her, but I don't know if I'm in love. And so at that time, I didn't know how to separate what being in love was versus loving somebody. I needed to kind of figure out that. I didn't really know. And so when she said it, it really caught me off guard. And I knew I loved her and I had like deep feelings for her, but it was just kind of weird to me. Of course, we had issues. We had fights and arguments about that, not physical fights. But
we never really argued in our relationship, honestly. Yeah. I mean, when we did argue, it was about stuff like that, but we never really had like, general arguments.
There's a difference between like somebody who's just arguing about nothing, but then when there's actually some substance, when there's a reason why you need to kind of come to some kind of conclusion, I can see why there's conflict, and I had to even learn that over time as well. We got in a lot of arguments concerning that over time. We did argue a lot because of that, and because I was unsure, and because what I held on was that voice saying, find somebody that resembles your mother. And I believe Lanasia had a lot of very quality wife traits that I believe would have made her a good wife, even for me, or if it was for somebody else. When we started having these arguments, that's when a lot of my doubts started kicking in. And I just kept remembering what people been telling me. And so going forward, we broke up. We did break up the first time. Of course, that was a little petty breakup, but then we got back together again. And then right after that, as time went by, there was an initial breakup. She did have a desire to want to work things out, but because I was really stuck in my way, I was really stuck on, okay, I don't know now because of all this stuff that was going on. I don't know if like this is the one for me. I don't know if this is the one for me. Like she said, I had to take some time to regroup because I didn't really know. And so at the time I was confused and just wondering like, you know what? I wonder if the reason why all of this is happening is because I'm really supposed to be with somebody else, and I was supposed to be with the person I always thought I was supposed to be with. And I knew at the time, because we had broken up, and I knew, you know, the person wasn't really as interested as she seemed me as a friend, pretty much. So I just felt a lot of rejection behind that. I was praying and asking God, you know, Lord, just show me if Lanasia is actually the one for me, because I was really confused. She said God had spoken to her concerning we were supposed to be together, you know, and I wasn't really sure because all the arguments and everything. And I felt pressure to say, at the time, I felt pressure to say I'm in love with you. And so God just kept showing me that not only she's suitable for you for ministry, but she's also somebody that really cares about you. And I never seen as much love and care like I have from Lanasia, but still at that time I was in a place of denial. So, you know, we kept getting arguments. You know, we'll never get back together. We're not getting back together. I don't think you're the one. And, you know, just going back and forth for a season, we weren't together. And I'm thinking that, okay, I might try to pursue the girl. I might try to pursue the person and, you know, see if really this is the one. But honestly, every time that I tried, I got rejected. One of the things I have struggled with, because I've always had loved ones and I've always had people who cared about me. I've always had a really great family, great church family. But one of the things I had always struggled with was rejection because of school, because of trying to fit in to a certain crowd. And so because of that, on top of being rejected by somebody who I thought was supposed to be the one, I felt a lot of depression. I felt suicidal. I'd never try to attempt anything, but just in my mind, you know, just being transparent, the enemy really tried to discourage me and make it seem like that everything was my fault. I think at the time when I was going through that discouragement, we had people on just both of our sides, you know, friends and people that we've, you know, hung with. You know, there were some people who took sides, of course, and it's natural. There were some people that took sides. There were people in our life that were praying for us. They were interceding. They were fasting for us. And so there was one time after going through that, I've tried to pursue somebody else. And it was out of a place of hurt. I knew, you know, this definitely wasn't God's will for me to be with that person, of course. It had to take some rejection, it had to take some struggles. And from there on, God gave me clarity that Lanasia was the one for me. It took a while for me to really kind of understand that, and love started growing stronger for her. And, you know, I felt like it was really a great decision that I made to really try to pursue things again. And from there on, we've just been growing stronger. I'm glad that God showed me that the person that you thought you wanted really wasn't the one that I had assigned for you, even despite people saying that you need somebody who kind of resembles like your mother. And that sound, again, like in the beginning, it sounded like good advice. But what I've learned is that God gives you people that you really need. And because of that, I've grown attached. I've grown in love with Lanasia. I've cherished every moment that we spend together. And yes, we go through our battles, we go through disagreements, but I knew this was the will of God. And I felt like I made a great choice concerning my decision.
So that was our testimony. We just want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys were encouraged. And again, like, subscribe, share our channel. And we're looking forward to doing more videos. So hopefully this cleared the air and allowed you guys opportunity to get to know us a little more. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.